Well, well, well. During my winter slumber, it looks like there were two big GTA mods that were taken down recently with the fear of Take-Two stomping through the door. With those mods being both the Liberty City Preservation Project for GTA 5 and Vice City NextGen for GTA 4. And while the Liberty City Preservation Project was a fantastic port of GTA 4's Liberty City into 5, and had a lot of love and support poured into it by its team, it ultimately fell to the boot of Take-Two, with them coming to an agreement with Take-Two to take down the mod in a sort of stalemate. But today I wanted to look at the other recent mod that got taken down that went a bit deeper into porting one game over to another, with Vice City NextGen Edition. A highly anticipated mod that was developed by Revolution Team, a team of 4 Russian developers who came together to make what is essentially a port of GTA Vice City over into GTA 4's Rage engine. And since this mod has been out for a month already after Take-Two demolished Rev Team's YouTube channel as a way of scaring the team into not launching the mod, they decided to still launch the game anyway without even needing any sort of prerequisites like owning both Vice City and 4, and instead launched the mod as its own game, complete with an installer, as a way of retaliating from destroying all of their YouTube channel. The mod was eventually taken down, however, even after all of the YouTube and Twitter comments saying that because it's a Russian mod it couldn't be touched, and well, it looks like even the Russians aren't even safe from the grubby hands of Take-Two. But since the mod's been out for a while and I've been playing it ever since its release to get that full experience, I wanted to go ahead and take a deep dive into the mod and see if it's worthy of the remaster moniker that so many have given it. So let's dive into GTA Vice City Next Gen Edition and see what it has to offer. Like I mentioned before, VCNE is essentially the entire game of Grand Theft Auto Vice City, just faithfully ported over to GTA 4's Rage engine. All of it being pretty much feature complete, despite the lack of official mod tools ever being given to Rockstar to the community for PC. And it's an impressive feat that was pulled off by the Revolution team. Not only to give an insight at what modding on 4's engine can consist of, despite the lack of tools, but also gives Vice City a proper facelift over the otherwise mediocre remaster that we officially got from the Defective Edition. And not only does this give Vice City a visual upgrade with all the lighting and shadow effects from GTA 4, while keeping the visuals consistent with the original game, but it also makes Vice City feel completely new using this updated engine.
Lobster? No, thanks.
In my personal opinion, GTA 4 takes the cake for being the best feeling game out of the series. And I know, for those of you who hate GTA 4's driving, you're probably wondering what the hell I've been smoking lately, but I am definitely one of those people that absolutely loves the driving physics of GTA 4, and simply the entire feel of GTA 4 because of its use of Euphoria-based physics. So getting to experience Vice City with the same feeling and movement as 4, I gotta say, it's a really trippy experience to say the least. But it's so satisfying once you really get to see all those small details from 4's engine shine in Vice City. And to be fair, something similar has been done like this in the past with GTA Vice Cry, except that mod was developed for GTA 5, and a lot of the assets for the mod were recreated by the team themselves before that mod eventually got the boot by Take-Two as well. But the squad over at Revolution Team decided to take the task of importing Vice City entirely into GTA 4's engine, and when I say entirely, I mean it. From the story missions, asset missions, side missions, hidden packages, stunt jumps, and pretty much everything else that you'd expect from this game, minus the rampage missions. But to be fair, I rarely ever did those when I played this game except for like 100% runs. But pretty much everything is here and adjusted to fit into GTA 4's engine. And if we're being real here, GTA 4's Rage engine feels a lot better than GTA 5's in so many areas. But with the entirety of Vice City being ported over into this engine, and also utilizing some additional post-processing effects from using E&B, from the new lighting effects, to reflections on cars, and the water, to enhance lighting features and shadows, as well as the addition of updated textures for pretty much everything, as well as HD weapon models. But almost every single aspect of Vice City looks even better with this upgrade. And there are so many times where I just stopped and looked around at different parts just to watch the sunset, or even just driving around, panning the camera over, and eventually getting sidetracked from the view that I'm seeing and get launched out of my car by accident. Vice City has never looked this good until now, in my opinion. Well, except for Revised. But this is like right up there with that. The vistas in this game are just breathtaking. And of course, with this being GTA 4's engine, you can expect all of the quality of life features and Euphoria-based physics from that game to be available here. From GTA 4's simple yet complex wanted system with still functioning paint sprays dotted around the map, you can easily jump into one of those areas, or if they catch you jumping into a paint spray, just go hide from the cops in an alleyway just outside of range. Or you can also save at any of the beds at your apartments, and also different couches at all of the assets that you buy throughout the game. To even small details like being able to hear the radio from somebody's car as they're passing by, or hell, even after you exit your car if you leave it on. Or being able to use your phone while in a vehicle, instead of having to like wait till you're out walking around and wait 15 seconds to take a call. Every single call throughout the game can not only be taken in a car, but can be skipped as well. These little things add up to make the gameplay experience way more enjoyable and immersive. And since NextGen is also using the Rage engine to its fullest, all of the building interiors are fully loaded into the world when you're near a building that has one. So you can see what's happening inside, like with the Malibu Club here, and freely walk in and out of it with ease. And you can also catch NPCs entering and exiting buildings, or even interacting with things in the world, and it makes the entire city feel that much more alive than the original game. I also really appreciate that the team didn't try to remaster or change the art style in any way, and kept everything pretty much in line with the original Vice City. Well, mostly. There are some odd choices of using HD universe textures for certain things, but it's not nearly as egregious as Deflated Edition was, and its use of HD textures and hell, even models. Even with most of the textures, including ones found on NPCs being upscaled to match the new engine, characters and vehicles are just as blocky as they were in their original form. And to be honest, I feel like these models look really good in the HD engine. And it was definitely a plus to be able to see all characters using their cutscene models just to get some more detail out of them. And even vehicles and bikes and even characters don't have a ton of detail to them, but that's the point. They shouldn't. The fact that they stayed true to the original art style across the board is incredible. And not having some updated Tommy model like with Deflated Edition.
The fuck is that?
The only type of updated models I really saw was mainly with the vegetation and some of the weapon models. But even with these updated ones, they still fit the art style incredibly well. Although I did notice a few weapons missing from the roster, unfortunately, like the flamethrower and a few others, but thankfully, shooting feels just as crisp as ever in GTA 4's engine. Being able to pull off headshots with ease, and even being able to take cover, and the driving feels just as clunky or fluid as you might remember it. But on top of that, you also have the vehicle deformation from GTA 4's engine, which looks really good on all those older vehicles. One thing I do want to mention is that since GTA 4 never had planes properly programmed into the final release, all of the missions that you'd expect to fly a plane in are changed up instead to use a helicopter, and you're not going to find any planes to fly around town. This isn't really a huge deal breaker in my opinion, as I found the helicopters to be a bit more fun to fly in Vice City anyway, but that's just me. And the way they changed up certain vehicles for certain missions, it still made sense. There's also a few new things that are added to the game, including some entirely new intro cutscene that plays right after the deal goes wrong at the beginning of the game, that shows Tommy and Ken escaping from the scene, interlaced with some beauty shots of Vice City, in that classic art style from the original game's intro. There's also some new vehicles and even some new looks to the city overall, with those new vehicles really just being a few new supercars from San Andreas, like the Turismo here, which looks and fits incredibly well into Vice City's timeline and its art style. But every other car is here from Vice City just as you remembered them. But the city itself has been glazed with bright neon lights, returning from Vice City stories and placed around the map and its buildings, with these neons looking so damn crisp on this engine. With the neons on the bridge being some of my favorite new things to see in the skyline here in this mod, as those bright pink lights look incredible reflected across the water. You'll also notice at certain safe houses, your outfits will be delivered after certain missions, and they'll be set down as pickups. So you just have to walk over to them to change your outfit. Or if you're wanting a specific outfit that gets unlocked later, you just have to go back to those locations that they spawn at. It would have been nice being able to have like the outfit system from GTA 4 in this instead of having to do pickups, but that would mean they would have to completely redo the outfits for Tommy, so it makes sense for them to just be pickups. At all of the different asset mission locations, you'll also find different money printers found at each of those spots, where you'll basically start seeing the money count up in real time inside of each office, instead of there being a floating icon for it, which was available in the original game. And this is an incredible little detail to add into this version of the game, just to add to a bit of that immersion. There's also new visuals shown on screen during certain missions, like counters for certain pickups, like the explosives planted in Demolition Man, or being able to start vehicle missions manually. These new little additions add so much flair to the game that was already dripping with so much style, and these small details are much appreciated from the team. And hell, even some of the cutscenes have been touched up a bit to add a bit more style to the direction of each cutscene that might not have been originally available in the game, like certain camera shakes in different cutscenes, as well as some new visuals that involve buildings getting blown to smithereens. Every cutscene looks just as great as you remember them, but even better. And I personally really enjoyed the new look to like all of these cutscenes. And again, Revolution team did not mess around when it came to porting this game. Everything about Vice City that you remember from back when you first played it is here and faithfully ported over into GTA 4's engine. And you can essentially play Vice City from beginning to end using this mod. Now, I've seen some people argue that this is a great replacement for playing the original Vice City. However, I would personally heavily disagree with that. Not only for purist's sake for the original Vice City, just because it's a great game on its own and I feel like anybody should play the original at some point if they haven't already, but the whole mission structure for Vice City NextGen has been flipped on its head in probably the worst possible way, which happens to be one of my biggest criticisms of this mod. You see, when this mod first dropped, so many videos I saw were saying that this would be the best new way to play Vice City, and I also saw some say that they would prefer to play it this way over the original. But I feel like they didn't play enough of the game to see one of the biggest glaring flaws that pops up midway through the story. If you watched my previous video with Frosted Winter, this criticism is going to sound very familiar to you. As for some reason, the devs have made it a requirement for you to complete almost all of the asset missions before moving on with the final set of story missions in the game. Which I guess you could say encourages more players to like 100% the game, which is fine. However, it doesn't feel like it was supposed to be that way, or they just didn't really structure this part well enough to begin with. As there is one set of asset missions, I don't remember which one off the top of my head, that can be skipped while still completing the last story missions, which makes playing those asset missions after beating the game really inconsistent with what happens in the story. Basically, like, after you off Lance, he can still show up in those asset missions. I get it if they were trying to make it to where you can like complete all asset missions to be a requirement, but it's kind of a weird change in my opinion. But if this was their intention, honestly, it should have been relayed to the player a little bit better or just implemented a lot better. Instead of only completing 2 of the required asset missions to move on, you have to complete pretty much all of them, including Phil Cassidy's missions. And then you can move on to the final few for Tommy. So while this is a fantastic experience for Vice City veterans who want to play something new, but I wouldn't say it's a good replacement just simply for this reason alone. In fact, that's not my only criticism of the mod, because the further I played through the game's story, more and more bugs and constant crashes would flare up out of nowhere. In fact, there were plenty of times where I would have collision issues with like vehicles and even the world itself sometimes. And hell, every once in a while, my car would get stuck on certain collision and then instantly just get sent into the atmosphere. Plus, there's certain changes to different missions, and even the results of your actions kind of change up the world in weird ways. Like, for example, with the Demolition Man mission, everyone's favorite, I personally really loved the cutscene that plays after where the building gets destroyed. It's really well directed, and the destruction was awesome. However, instead of there being a building still standing with like some holes in it, like in the original game, there's now this huge buggy pile of rubble that stands there instead, which completely blocks you off from an armor pickup that was originally available in that building. And the collision around where the building used to be is completely fucked. And when you're going to switch the light for the movie studio, like one of the funnest missions in the later half of the game, it's where you have to like jump from building to building on a motorcycle, or you could just fly to each point, which even this mod provides you a helicopter like right at the bottom of the building. However, I wanted to go the route of taking the bike, but when you're supposed to break through the glass to hit the very first checkpoint, the glass doesn't break properly when driving up to it at full speed. And well, yeah. But now you have to shoot out the glass before hitting the gap with your bike. It's these weird changes like this and stuff that just feels like it shouldn't be there, or the development kind of felt rushed, that really makes me feel like this mod should have been play tested a lot more before release.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And oh yeah, this version of Vice City contains a shit ton of taxis, which is most likely a leftover bug from GTA 4, but still, it's a pretty noticeable thing half the time. Now keep in mind, all of these bugs could be a result of the mod's sudden surge of popularity, because even with the mod's first trailer that dropped, it had a ton of views. And even after that, I just saw the game popping off on Twitter left and right. It kind of made it seem like Rev Team was trying to push out the mod as quick as possible before the big boot of Take-Two started stomping down. But if they had a few more months to playtest the mod, and maybe even gave a few more people in their community or even content creators on board to playtest, just to have a better vetting experience towards the end, I feel like this mod would have had a better launch if it had that extra time in the oven. And I know, I mention Eben constantly in my videos at this point, but he has a really good breakdown of some of the issues that happen to come up in this mod. And while I don't agree that the mod is bad, there are definitely some issues in it, that's for sure. And I personally agree with a lot of the criticisms he has of the mod, so if you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. But don't fret, there is an unofficial patch that's being worked on by a different team that's unrelated to the Rev Team, so if you're lucky enough to still have the files for this mod or can somehow play it in the future, there's going to be a patch that will most likely stomp out a lot of the bugs that I've seen throughout my playthrough. Plus, from what I've also seen on YouTube and even GTA forums, there's quite a few modders hard at work even adding more content into the mod, like new vehicles, weapon models, and the like, and so if you're interested in that, definitely keep an eye out on new content out there, because this is basically a new GTA game to add new content to. Now, by the time this video releases, my birthday should be around this time, and my wife decided to get me a Steam Deck for a bit of an early birthday present, which was fucking awesome. Big shout out to my wife. If you hear this, babe, I fucking love you, and again, thank you so much for this thing. But I knew as soon as I got this, I somehow had to get Vice City NextGen running on it so I could play it on the go. And if you happen to have a Steam Deck, you can also run this mod. You can install it and play it using Port Proton, which is a plugin that you can install from SteamOS's App Store front that's like on the desktop. And you can run the exe file for launch GTA 4 through Proton and play the game with ease. Just set it up to your Steam library and you're good to go. And honestly, it felt like this game ran better on my Steam Deck than my mid to high tier PC, which was insane. It's awesome being able to like see and play this game on the go if I ever wanted to. And I've already played through a good bit of the story on the Steam Deck and it runs just fine. And I haven't had any crash issues so far. And hell, I might just do another replay of this on the deck. But yeah, if you happen to have a Steam Deck, this is definitely Steam Deck verified. Just use Port Proton and it works. And in the great words of Todd Howard,
all of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
Overall though, Vice City NextGen Edition is an incredibly fun experience for returning vets of the original Vice City who might have been disappointed by the definitive edition. And notice how I didn't say for first timers of Vice City, because I personally don't think this mod should be viewed as a replacement for the original game, or hell, even as a remake. Despite that, however, this port is an incredible achievement that was pulled off by the Revolution team. And while there's still a lot of flaws hidden under the roof that you can start to experience halfway through the game, it's still an incredible look at what modders can really do with the Rage engine in GTA 4, despite the lack of tools, and how it can be used to create some phenomenal experiences if done correctly. Revolution team pulled off some incredible work here with NextGen Edition. And despite the boot from Take-Two finally coming down on this project, I hope the team the best with the work that they do in the future, and I'm hoping that other modders can look under the roof of this mod just to see how things were done. It's a shame though that their YouTube channel has been nuked, because they had a lot of live streams over there showcasing the development of this mod, and it's a shame that we won't really see that, at least on YouTube anymore. Unless somebody has them like backed up somewhere. And hell, if some modders are willing to jump back into the Rage engine and mod this stuff some more, someone should make a Long Night remake, since we have Vice City now. I'm just saying, that would be fucking rad. And of course, I'm not going to be sharing a link for the mod because the dev team has taken down the mod themselves, and hell, I'm not going to be sharing it myself, but I'm sure you could find them out there if you looked hard enough. Now, despite Take-Two and Rockstar's opinion and their outlook on mods, I really hope that Rockstar listens to this portion of the video. Rockstar, Take-Two, please consider ways to communicate with your community a bit better, at least with your modders who are passionate about making projects for these games. Because I'm sure modders want to know how they can get their projects out there without facing legal litigation. Because projects like this are what the community want to see out of the GTA series because of the lack of releases from your studios. We don't want to see half-assed remasters done anymore by D teams. In the future, I'm hoping that Rockstar and Take-Two have better communication with their community about these things, because experiences like this are what sell their games even more down the line. Like the fact that we can still buy Manhunt or Bully on the Steam store, but you have to mod those games to even get them running in the first place on the latest version of Windows. While on the other hand, Rockstar and Take-Two are taking down some of the most passionate mod projects on the side. Honestly, it's downright ridiculous if you ask me. If it's a rights issue with music or voice lines, the team or future developers who are looking to mod GTA should know what to look out for, so that way they don't get stepped on by the big boot of Take-Two down the line. Rockstar or even Grove Street Games could learn a thing or two from this mod in my opinion. And in fact, this mod is a great experiment and case study on how remasters should be done in the future. Instead of remastering the game and updating the aesthetics while keeping the engine the same, they should follow the steps of a mod like this, where you're keeping the aesthetics and the look of the game the same as people remembered it back when they first played it, but updating the engine to give the feel of the overall experience and allow the engine to bring in those extra post-processing effects to make the overall aesthetics of the game shine. Update the engine, not the aesthetics. Come on, game companies, switch up that strategy, because I'm pretty sure Rev Team found the winning one. Before I end the video, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who has stuck with me in the channel over the holidays, and I also want to thank all the new subscribers who found me along the way during my hiatus. I know I've been radio silent the past couple months besides my last video with Frosted Winter, but I've been taking care of my little family for the holidays and, you know, being a good dad. And my kids are like my main focus nowadays, and this YouTube channel just kind of comes second. But I plan on coming back strong this year with a ton of different community-made projects that are releasing, so stay tuned and hit that subscribe button if you're interested in my type of content. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and leave a like as well if you enjoyed it, or dislike it if you didn't, that's fine too. But yeah, make sure to subscribe and all that jazz. I promise the next video won't take so long to come out, so definitely stay tuned, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic day, and if not, I hope tomorrow is better. And until next time, Blado out.